Well, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Jamie again with my colleague, Caroline Redmon, and we again are going to talk to you about borderline personality disorder. Mostly today, we're going to focus on the person who's suffering with this disorder because they are suffering. And one of the things that we just want to really point out is that it is an emotional roller coaster sometimes with no end in sight.
I- And one of the ways that it is an emotional roller coaster is how we think about ourselves and how we perceive other people. And it can feel like we're really stuck. But what happens is that when we get on that emotional roller coaster, we tend to see things in very black and white terms. Things are either all good
Yeah,
or things are all very, very bad.
right.
And and that affects our relationships and how we connect to one another.
Uh-huh.
And I can give an example of that.
Hmm.
Um, I have worked with a person who has a very difficult relationship with her mother. She has idealized her mother to be this superhuman,
Hmm.
superhuman, beautiful person that she herself feels she could never measure up to that.
Yeah,
And in so doing, it has distorted how she perceives herself
right.
and how she sees her mother.
Yeah,
Neither one is a realistic perspective because it's very black and white.
right. And so in a relationship like that, you see that idealization, but then you see the devaluation, right? Where you've got that splitting that you're talking about, and that creates a disturbance in thinking and emotion regulation. Um, and so then eventually, when that person can't meet up to those expectations, then they get really ticked off. They get angry, right? And they'll tear that person down. They'll walk out, right? So, yeah, good story there, Caroline. And what about
Thank you.
boundary issues too? Right.
Well, I think boundary issues is really important for everybody.
Yeah.
But because when we are wrestling with this kind of, um, I would say this kind of almost like a trauma,
Oh, yeah.
it 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 um it affects us in the sense that we have no boundaries. We can go off on an emotional mountain or a cliff, and
Yeah.
before you know it, you're down into a sort of a deep black rabbit hole
Yeah.
of negativity.
Yeah. And just
And
a
that
full outburst. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that essentially is that trauma response. You know,
Yes,
it's not contingent on what's being discussed. It's just an emotional outburst because there's such a huge fear of abandonment, right? Because this person's going to reject us if we actually have a normal average conversation, listening to each other and having good boundaries. So it's hit.
exactly.
Yeah.
And when we get down to that emotional intensity,
Hmm.
we tend to have a knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
I'm going to reject you before you can reject me. And so
Exactly.
consequently, the relationship becomes at a standstill because no people aren't coming together like this. They're kind of going away from each other. And
Yeah.
I think when we get very emotional,
Uh-huh.
we lose a sense of how another person is feeling or thinking in this kind of given situation.
Right. And essentially that comes from childhood. It comes from those double bind messages that the individual got from, one or both of their parents. Unfortunately, typically it is the mother. Oftentimes the mother, maybe the father has a personality disorder themselves. So they have those double bind messages where love has strings attached, or or there's like two or more messages that are being relayed simultaneously, and one message contradicts the other. So like when, the child hugs the mother, she's happy and, everything's wonderful, but the mother doesn't want to hug. And so she pushes the child away, right? And then the child lets go, like, okay, and then the mom's like, well, what's the matter? Don't you love me anymore? And
Mm.
yet the child had no way of knowing one way or the other what they were supposed to do. They just wanted to hug their mom, right? So they get these weird messages. They don't know how to feel their feelings or express their feelings or what those feelings are supposed to be attributed to. And so they get that defensiveness that comes in as adults, and they get more argumentative, and that's where that, like, again, that trauma response, right? So one of the things that we do as therapists is help them change that schema, right? And, doing like a schema focused therapy with cognitive behavioral and dialectical behavioral, and we help people to work through those relationship and trust issues, which is an emotional trust, that have, and to explore new coping skills, right? And what are some of the things that you've done to help people with borderline personality disorder in their relationships?
Well, I work hard to help them integrate the balance of thought and the balance of feeling,
Yeah, good, good.
and to be able to almost, with some people, I suggest a feelings journal,
Uh-huh.
and that to keep that journal so that when we meet, we look at those feelings
Yeah,
and then we explore, were these feelings based on reality,
right.
or were they based on an emotional reaction?
Right, because the feelings are valid, but we have to help them to learn how to connect those feelings with the thing that happened or the thing that was said, and the rationality and reality in the response, right? So that's where you
Abs-
teach those skills. Yeah.
Absolutely. Feelings are real because we feel them,
Yeah.
but feelings are not always necessarily based on reality.
Right. And I think that that's where we get that identity disturbance with borderlines. Um, you have a really unstable self-image and sense of self because we don't know how to take those feelings and like where we stand in relationship to other people, right? And we oftentimes feel guilty or ashamed, and we see ourselves as bad. And so our beliefs and attitudes and perceptions can just turn on a dime, right?
Absolutely. Because how we think,
Hmm.
if we get a thought, and if it's a negative thought,
Yeah.
that thought is going to affect how we feel.
Hmm.
And for a lot of people, and particularly people who struggle with borderline personality disorder, the feelings sort of almost cloak
Hmm.
their, their thinking.
Yeah, yeah,
But there is hope to get past that, is to
absolutely.
help people be able to go, okay, you have a feeling. Now let's take a look at this feeling. And what is it based on?
Yeah. And that's pretty much what I want to get to as we kind of come to a close here is um how we work to strengthen that identity and the sense of purpose and vocational and relationship functioning, um, that reduces that profound sense of emptiness that someone with borderline personality disorder has, because they're feeling that disconnection from both themselves and others, and they often have like this sense of numbness and nothingness
Mhm.
and feeling unfulfilled and having no purpose. And so that connection that you're talking about with the feelings and the thoughts and getting that all connected as a whole, kind of making a cohesive narrative in a sense, right? So that they can really start getting that sense of being composed together, whole, and being connected then to others, right?
I think in summary, helping a person rewrite their story.
Absolutely. Yep. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully you guys all benefited from this video and got something out of it. We really, really just want to be able to help you to have that hope in life. And so thank you so much for watching this video and giving us this time, letting us into your home or into your phone. um, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope that you have an absolutely wonderful day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye.